thank you so much for joining us. I'm really, really surprised and pleased about the nomination. I do know some faces of students and colleagues that are here. So my last lecture is titled Pancakes for Dinner. And I've gotten a lot of email inquiries of, what are you talking about? Where did this title come from? So I'll share with you what happened. There was a professor at Carnegie Mellon, and he was a computer science professor. He wrote a book called The Last Lecture. And it really was his last lecture because he was diagnosed in, I think, 2007 with terminal pancreatic cancer. So it is a book. I've read the book. I think it's wonderful. He also did a video, so you can probably go on YouTube and find the video pretty easily. But it was, you know, it's a very touching thing. What if this was your last opportunity to present yourself? What was if this was your last opportunity to share with students, to share with colleagues and friends and things like that? So one of my big pet peeves with PowerPoint is when someone is reading the PowerPoint to me. So I hereby promise that I will do my best not to read the PowerPoint to you. Rather, I'll talk about other things and y'all can read for yourself. There are plenty of pictures, so it's not all very wordy and pieces of information. I joined the college in 1997 as an adjunct, and I know some of you weren't born yet. And that's okay, or some of you were an undergraduate for college. But I started out at South Campus in biology and chemistry, primarily evening classes. And in the daytime, my daytime job was at Regency Square Mall. And I have learned that I suck at retail. The store was called Natural Wonders, so it was kind of science-y stuff, but we also had sales quotas. And I think I made my sales quota one time because I sold a grandmother 2 telescopes. And that was the only time that I made my quota. So anyway, it was a decent job. But what I love is teaching science. And I teach microbiology. I teach across the street at the ATC. So biology, chemistry, microbiology, biotechnology, aquaponics, hydroponics, all kinds of stuff. And I really, really do enjoy it. So I'll share with you why I chose the title that I chose. My dad was a really good cook. And we knew as adult children coming home from college or from our jobs that if we got to the house with my dad and my stepmother and it was close to dinner time, if they didn't have anything planned, it was very likely that my dad was going to get out the griddle and it was going to be pancakes for dinner. Probably bacon, but bacon cooked in the microwave. I don't know if anybody's a fan. I'm not a huge fan of microwaved bacon. And then I'll also just introduce some of the cast of characters. My son turns 18 next month. He graduates high school in May. He starts college in June. So my son was actually named for my dad. Yes, ma'am. JU. Yes. So pray for me. I got to figure out how to pay for it. It's going to be, because here would be free. And he's like, no, Mom, I can't go to your school. I'm like, okay. So if we saw the griddle, my brother and my sisters and I, we knew that it was going to be pancakes for dinner. It was also probably going to be a movie because at the time we had these Blockbuster rituals. You guys remember Blockbuster Video? Okay, so it was very likely, this is old school, it was very likely that it was going to be Hunt for Red October, which was my dad's favorite movie of all time, or it was going to be a Monty Python movie. The one that we usually picked was going to be The Search for the Holy Grail. Occasionally it would be Life of Brian, but not so much. When we started having children of our own, it was probably going to be more along the lines of Elmo or, you know, not Barney, no. But, you know, the Cookie Monster and the Elmo and the other stuff like that. So it had to change a little bit. Drove my stepmother crazy because we could recite the lines from the movies repetitively. So she was always too embarrassed to go with us to the Blockbuster on Dunn Avenue. And she was like, no, you go pick your movies and I'll stay here. Okay, so there are, you guys are probably a lot on social media. And some of the memes that we see are very, very creative, and they frequently touch us in different ways. Or our friends on Facebook see these memes and they tag us. I get tagged a lot. My friends on Facebook know me. And then they frequently will say, well, somebody already put this here. So I might get the same meme 6 times on my wall repetitively. And I've also had friends on Facebook comment that if I posted something, they don't even have to look. They knew that it was me. And I know you have commented on this many, many times. So people, they know me. It'll seem random. I promise it won't be. When we get to the end in a couple or 3 hours, we'll be okay. Not really. No, it's fine. So we all have people that we look up to. We all have mentors, and they could be a famous public figure. It could be a teacher that we've met. It could be somebody at church. It could be somebody that we work with, somebody from the neighborhood. I have a friend who is now a nurse, and she's moving, I want to say she's moving to North Carolina, but she made a comment, here I am, a new nursing school graduate, and my best friend is in his or her 60s. So that age gap between who do you choose as your mentor? And maybe your mentor is someone who is younger. It could also be a famous person in politics or in religion, or it could be writers. I don't know if you're familiar with the ones on the bottom, but C.S. Lewis and Tolkien were best friends. And so there's a lot of similarities between the Lord of the Rings, the Middle-earth series, and then the Chronicles of Narnia. And a lot of people don't know that, yes, they were best friends, and there's a lot of controversy. Did they die not as friends anymore? So were there some controversies? Were there some arguments? The band had to break up. And that happens a lot in creative types of things that go on. But it's interesting, when you have a mentor, even if people who don't know each other, when your mentors from different circles, when they like each other, pay attention to that. Because all of your different circles, you have your school circle, you have your library circle, you have your church circle, maybe you do a sport, so you have your teammates, or maybe you have a hobby and you have meetings with your hobby friends or your neighborhood friends, or friends from elementary school, friends from middle school, friends from high school, friends from college, and so forth. So when your circles interact and when your circles intersect, think of a really big, complicated Venn diagram. You know how the circles overlap here and overlap there. And then even better is when you're part of a circle and then people know you by reputation in other areas. And it's actually kind of nice to have that positive feedback. You're like, okay, I'm not a knucklehead. I'm actually doing things. I'm on the right path to be a good human. I like babies. I really like babies. Puppies and kittens and tortoises and baby humans, baby snakes. No? Nope ropes? Okay, hard pass on that one. It's okay. I was counting this morning. I'm at 20 nieces and nephews and some greats. I'm like, dang, that's awesome. I literally sat down and counted. I'm like, oh, wow. So my nieces are having children. That makes me a great auntie. No, an awesome auntie, or a godmother, or a godfather. So be an awesome auntie. Be an awesome uncle. Do you have a fun uncle? A funkle? The one who teaches you bad things? Like how to light things on fire? Yeah, okay, I see, yeah, y'all. We were raised in the same way. So the red t-shirt is my son. And then that's his little cousin. Well, my son at the time didn't have experience with babies in diapers. And so what was happening was going to be a very graphic diaper. So that's the reason that he's reacting the way. He's like, what do I do? I was like, don't do anything. Is it going to leak? Probably. So if you have children of your own, or you have younger cousins or younger nieces and nephews, you know that it's sometimes a little bit scary with some of the noises that are erupting from tiny humans. And just also remember, you too were a tiny human, and you had those noises erupting from all of your orifices. So humans are a mess, very, very simply. Okay, so I find a lot of things on family vacations that are really, really funny. And maybe they're not intended to be funny, but enjoying traveling to a new place or meeting new people in another culture or another country or another state. So we have family now. My in-laws, my mother-in-law in particular, is Hawaiian. So we have been able to go to the Big Island, and I discovered that I love volcanoes. And so we go on hikes through an active volcano called Kilauea Iki, and it will probably embarrass him, but my son always likes to look for the lava. So there was no lava. There was not at that time. So there are, funny things. You know what is it? Live, love, laugh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I live with two men, Doug and Jimmy. So if you live with men, even young men, you know that fart jokes are going to be a major part of your day. And I know no matter how old the man is, it's going to be a big part of your day. So there is that energy that comes from hanging around men. There's going to be a lot of fart jokes. It happens. However, when you hang out with women, sometimes when you hang out with only women, depending on the age of the women, there might be other conversations. Maybe it would be having children. So if you have children of your own, there's always, God bless you, there's always talking about raising children. Or what phase is your child going through? Is it the potty training phase? Is it the middle school hormones on feet? Is it high school getting ready to graduate? So there's all these different stages that are universal to us, which really makes it kind of cool. Sometimes your trips that you plan are not going to go as planned. In fact, I would say most of the trips that you plan are not going to go exactly as planned. So we once had a vacation where we flew to Colorado. This was many years ago. We flew to Colorado, but we ended up driving all around Yellowstone and Wyoming and South Dakota and all around. So we saw many, many of the big sites. I highly recommend it if you have an opportunity. But there was a car show. And again, I live with men. It is far more common that the dudes like cars. Cars, trucks, motorcycles. Things that go zoom, zoom. Things that go fast, zoom, zoom. I am not a car girl. I just got rid of my minivan. Had it for 16 years. It goes, it doesn't stop. So I think stopping and going are very important combinations. I also didn't plan a few years ago to raise kittens that were born in the bushes outside of my dining room window. So it was May 1st, several years ago, and I'm walking down the sidewalk to my car, to the driveway, and there's a litter of kittens, brand new, only a few hours old, under the dining room window. So I ended up hand raising a litter of kittens. And they survived maybe for about a year. Some of them were adopted to other families, but this is Ninja. So little black kittens. We had another one who was called Squirrel because he was gray, and then the other two kittens as well. So I totally didn't plan to spend my summer semester hand raising, bottle feeding kittens, but I did. So I know I can do it. It was rough. Do you have brothers and sisters, your siblings that you grow up with? Some kids are only children, and that happens. It's just a circumstance of their life. But if I count my siblings my half siblings, and my step siblings, I'm the oldest of 6. And so that's why I have 20 nieces and nephews, because now we're all having children of our own. But if you have brothers and sisters, these are your first tribe. And so this is the first tribe of people that you interact with. Not always positively. Sometimes you fight like hell, because maybe you're the oldest, maybe you're the youngest, maybe you're the middle child, maybe you're the only girl, maybe you're the only boy. My brother is the only boy. So he definitely had a lot of things to fight through, especially with 2 older sisters in the house, same high school, same grade school, same middle school, same high school. So he basically had to fight for his identity, but he turned out okay. He made firefighter captain, so he's with the St. Pete Fire Department. My sister, Andrea, is a lawyer, so I'm sorry. And then I teach biology and microbiology. And then we had a baby sister when we were all teenagers. So here comes our youngest sister. And yeah, she's very, very creative. She also went to Douglas Anderson, so now my son is following her to Douglas Anderson, which is really funny how the circles always work out. It's interesting. But yeah, if you have brothers and sisters, sometimes those are the ones that you love the hardest and you fight the worst. And this is like, man, because you know exactly where to stab, metaphorically, not like really. And then when you and your siblings start having children, you realize how much bigger the family circles will become, especially when your parents become grandparents. They change. When your mom becomes a grandmother, or when your dad becomes a grandfather, they do change. And it's totally natural. I was lucky that my great-grandmother was still alive when I started college. And many kids today, they might not know that far back in the generations. And it's important, those are the stories, either the written down stories or the oral recorded stories, family trees. And some folks go through studying their ancestry and studying their family tree, and you find out some really interesting things. I know for a fact that I am not descended from royalty. I'm not. There are no kings and queens and dukes and duchesses and barons and baronesses. We were criminals and we partied. So it is what it is. I know my family history, but we also like to fight. When you hang out with your different tribes, it's sad when you hang out with only people who look like you. So you want that diversity, whether it's ethnicity, of course gender, but ethnicity, religious background, your personal preferences. When you hang out with people who are very different from you, you start to see how many things humans have in common. Maybe you have grandparents, maybe you have a big family, maybe you have a small family. If you have a fun uncle or a not fun uncle, those kind of things. But when you have school tribe, and I have my kickboxing tribe, and I have my Filipino martial arts tribe, sometimes those tribes will interact with each other. And part of the journey, I guess, since Dr. Roth notified me in December, it was right before Christmas break. And winter break, Christmas time, depending on your background, maybe that's a time of reflection. So it's about to be New Year's, and you're like, right, new year, new me. I resolve to whatever, X, Y, Z, exercise more, eat healthy, blah, 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 the usual. I'm going to join a health club, and I'm going to exercise, and I'm going to work out, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to sleep better, and I'm going to eat better. And then comes the end of January, and you're like, probably not, but that's okay. But part of putting together the presentation, looking at pictures, and a lot of it, was from Facebook pictures and other social media. So sometimes those timelines are a treasure, and you don't realize when you look at old pictures, so this would have been the biomedical science graduating class of 2016. And looking back at some of the photos, so this young lady just finished medical school. She just matched. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I hit the thing? It's a touch screen, isn't it? I'm sorry. Technology is not my friend. Jimmy is my tech guy. Anyway, so this young lady, she just finished medical school. And last Friday, she matched for her residency. For real, this is absolutely real life. And then this young lady, she finished her physician assistant degree down in South Florida, so now she's a practicing physician assistant. And then there's some other students who have attended dental school or they've begun graduate school. I got a notice through Facebook over the weekend that one of my biomed students, she may have been in your class, she finished her master's degree in microbiology, and then she's been admitted to a PhD program. So, you know, our student graduates, biomed, biotech, whatever is your major, when you keep in touch with your professors, we really do. It's like, yay, finally, we're having some good successes from little bitty old FSCJ. You know, when I was growing up, it was FJC. And then they changed the name to FCCJ. And then now we're FSCJ. And then another thing, and it's kind of sad, but not to be, you know, morbid about it, I look at some of these photos and there are people who are no longer alive, who are no longer with us. The young lady here holding the sign, class of 2016, she died in a car crash in 2017. Yeah, and then this young man here, biomed graduate, class of 2016, he worked for the college as a lab manager, and then he died a year and a half ago from cancer. So you look at these faces in your cap and gown and your other celebrations, take the pictures. Take the pictures. Oh, my hair's bad. I don't like what I'm wearing. Take the pictures, I promise, because when you look at them later, you're like, oh man. Okay, so some of my, I do stick fighting, Cindy, so you do this too. It's sometimes called Kali, sometimes called Arnis, sometimes called Eskrima. It's a lot of fun. I wear long sleeves at school a lot because my bruises are horrifying to some people, so I try to wear long sleeves. But anyway, this is my class at kickboxing. And again, the diversity. So our coach is Filipino, and then my classmate David is from Kenya, and then my other classmate Arsen is from the Ukraine. So you look at the diversity of people that you meet in different aspects, and then this man here who was a training partner for the stick fighting, he drowned last May trying to rescue a little boy who had been caught in an undertow at the beach. So when you look at these pictures, yes, it's memories, but it's also honoring what they taught you. And you're like, oh man, I remember what we did in that last particular class or at that last particular, graduation party. I'm really excited that this year, finally, we're back to in-person graduation. I love graduation ceremonies. I really do. So if you are an upcoming graduate, or you know someone who is an upcoming graduate and they say, I don't know if I want to walk. Get the cap and gown, do the fancy stuff. What? Don't throw them under the bus. It's okay. It's not for everybody, but celebrate it. Celebrate the graduation. I do. I love graduation. That cap and gown with the 3 stripes on the doctoral robes and the hood. It's fancy. And I got the fancy hat. I didn't get the pointy hat. I got the fancy hat, so I like it. Get in the picture. Don't just be the photographer. Get in the picture. You're like, oh, I hate the way I look in pictures. Tough. Too bad. Get in the picture, especially if there's big family gatherings, or maybe your family only gets together for weddings and funerals, or birthday parties, or something, or like family reunion or whatever. Get in the picture. If not for you, how about for your kids? Because they're going to want to see, oh, what did you look like when you were 20? Or what did you look like when you were 30 or 40 or whatever? And there are family members with whom I cannot deny relation. The gene pool is strong, and you're like, oh my goodness gracious, does anybody else have a chance? When they marry into your family, you're like, no, you don't have any chance at all because our genes are that strong. We're going to overwhelm anything you got. Do you mistake somebody on the phone? Do you have the same handwriting as a family member? It's weird, some of the traits that we have that are in our family groups, and you're like, oh my gosh. Or my sister likes to roller skate. One of her buddies at roller skating was my high school biology teacher. I'm like, hey, I know that guy. And they didn't know that we were related to each other. It's like, oh yeah, I know this person or I know this person. So your circles are going to intersect, and you're like, oh man, I hope I didn't lie to that person. Did I do something inappropriate in front of that person? I sure hope not. And then your cousins. I haven't even started talking about cousins yet. So how many cousins do you have? You're like, oh yeah, I'm not even going to count. Technically, every person in this room, we're cousins. If you go back far enough in our DNA, we are all cousins. We are all cousins. In fact, even better, when you look around the room, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins, and then some people say first cousin, second cousin, third cousin, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. We're all cousins, every one of us. And we're all East Africans. Every person in this room is descended from East Africans. So you're like, yeah, that's cool. Okay. No matter how old you are, it's okay to start something new. Even if you think you're going to be embarrassed, you probably will. Tough. You'll be fine. Just try. Who was the first person who tried it? What could go wrong? Everything's fine. Everything's fine. So I was 45 and a half when I started taking karate, because I sat for a year in the parent chairs at the karate school. And if you have kids or nieces or nephews, or if you're a karate kid, whatever, you know that the parent chairs is boring. I sat in the parent chairs for a year, watching classes Tuesday, Thursday nights. I'm like, grading papers. I'm like, I can do that. Well, some of it. Some of the spinny stuff, that ain't happening. That is not going to happen. Some of the spinning kicks, no. Some of the flying, leaping stuff, no. There's no flying and leaping. Not going to happen. But I started as an adult in the kids' classes, and it was a blast. I'm so glad I did. Of course, this was when my son was shorter than me. So he is now almost 6'2". We still train together. He is ridiculously strong. I'm like, okay, honey, we need to take that kick down like 5. Take it down to a 5. We're not going to kick 12. We're going to hit 5. And then watching some of the children, the kids who were my classmates, they're now graduating high school and college. So you look at the little bitties. Did you have karate, like your little karate uniform or your little soccer uniform or your little basketball uniform or your little football uniform, and you were adorable? Or your little dance outfits, yeah, from ballet or whatever it was. And then you look at yourself as you grew and how you changed. Well, mentorship is also very, very important, because you never know what teacher or coach. Right now with the NCAA basketball, what are we at the Sweet 16? Okay, so yay. I like Gonzaga just because of the name. Gonzaga. I don't even know what it means. It's like Gonzaga, whatever. I don't even know if they're still in it. I don't care. But when you have mentors who are your coaches, teachers, whatever it may be, you have no idea how they will touch your life or how you will touch theirs. So this was our head karate teacher at the school, Sensei Lee Barden. And he ran a school in Arlington called Karate Arts. And they had a van where they would go and pick up for after school programs. And if I wear my t-shirts, people say, oh, you know that. I'm like, yes, I do. So your family, your circle gets bigger and bigger. It's like, oh yeah, I remember those. They would come and pick up at the elementary school, or they would pick up at the middle school. Well, unfortunately, he died in 2017. And you look at what did they pass on to you? What did they teach you? Very Yoda philosophy. Because it's not all about just punching and kicking or throwing a ball or kicking a ball. It's not. It's frequently life skills and how to greet someone, how to interact with someone, especially someone who is different than you, looks different than you, maybe a special needs kid, Down syndrome children or children who are autistic or something like that. So how do you interact with people who are different from you? And that's another way that we would learn. Some of my karate friends, this is one of our teachers, they're scary. The first time you meet some of your coaches, or maybe you remember being intimidated by a PE teacher or a coach, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can hang with this, because they look, big and gruff and tough, and that's a woman. And then maybe it's a big and gruff and tough man, and you're like, I'm scared of this person. But if you are able to let them teach you, be teachable, be coachable, you hear that all the time in sports. Sometimes you win. Yeah, sometimes you lose. You have to be a gracious loser, but sometimes you win. And there are times when it is absolutely frightening. And you're like, I don't know if I can do this. So what do? You do your best. Give it a shot. Not everybody is going to get a trophy. Does the trophy mean something to you? Does the belt mean something to you? Does the medal mean something to you? Or is it more inside? You're like, oh, hey, I gave it a shot. And I will say that in my division, there's not a whole lot of women over 35 who do this, who compete in karate or compete in kickboxing. But if Dana White ever calls and tells me that he's putting together a women's division for over 50, I'm in. I'm absolutely, not really. I'm too old for this. Okay. I call this meme, and I remember the first time I saw this one, that's Jeremiah 29. I know exactly what that Bible verse is. And then if you go home and look it up, you're like, it sure is. It's exactly the right one. Then there's poems. If you read poems and memes that are appropriate to your circumstance, whatever it is that you're going through. Do you know the Footprints poem? It's beautiful. It's been around forever. Well, now people have started changing it to where there's a Star Wars version where they walk in single file to hide their numbers. That's the footprints in the sand. But I just think these things come up on my Facebook all the time, and I just think they're hilarious. Or someone sends it to me. So Cindy, Mary, they send me stuff. Mike, when you're on Facebook, you send me stuff. It's like, okay, cool. Okay. There are aspects of your life that will surprise people. And I have a standing offer of extra credit to all of my students. We're not going to fight. Just come and take a class with me. I've only had one student actually take me up on the offer. And she was like, this is hard. And I mean, she was in good shape. But she was like, this is really, really hard. And I have to share with you something that happened last night. I really do use pink gloves. And my classmates are mostly men. More often than not, I'm the only woman in the kickboxing class or the eskrima class. Not so much in them. But it's keep your hands up, keep your guard up, or Miss Dianne will punch you in the face with pink gloves. This really happened last night. And my classmate, Adam, he says, "You look like such a nice gray-haired lady. And you punched me in the face with your pink gloves." I said, "Yes, I did. Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm fine. It just surprised me." I'm like, dude, you dropped your hands. Don't drop your hands. It's okay. This one was totally accidental last December. From time to time, our Kali teacher, our GAT, Guillermo Arnis training, so it's a traditional Filipino martial art, we realized that we all went to high school together. And we're looking around and I'm like, no way. So the four of us at this one martial arts class, we were all from Ed White High School, class of 1984. And they made me promise that I wouldn't get out the yearbook. Because when you look at your old yearbooks, you're like, oh dang, that hair. Yes, ma'am.
You say you still do this?
Yes.
You still do?
Yes.
Okay, where at though?
It's on Atlantic Boulevard, called Renaissance 413. It's kind of a Bible verse and kind of a fighting verse. All my coaches are brute. It's called Renaissance. Renaissance 413.
I'd love to get punched in the face by one.
No, honey, no. No, that's not. Okay, it's totally illogical. And those of you who have done karate or taekwondo or martial arts or whatever, the more you train in martial arts, the less you want to get in fights because you know exactly what it feels like to get kicked there. You're like, oh, dang. And then the coach is like, guys, I told you to wear a cup.
Wow.
Told you and told you. And remember fart jokes? Yep. I train with men. Fart jokes are part of the daily vocabulary. It just is a thing. But yes, I still do train. I had class last night. So I've got some horrifying bruises on my left knee. So it's okay. Everything's fine. I like weird stuff. I deliberately seek out weird stuff, different stuff. And when Dr. Roth sent me the notification back in December that students had nominated me to give a last lecture, I was like, whoa. And he sent me some samples of previous videos that had been done. So you might have watched a couple of the videos and of our predecessors. I think 3 were in person, 1 was a Zoom, and I watched those 4 samples from my colleagues, and they were very academic. And I said, nah, nah, that's not what I want my last lecture to be. So I like weird stuff. This is me, probably in 1968, in the driveway with my Winnie the Pooh. So Winnie the Pooh is just awesome. And then my son, he absolutely had an affinity for Elmo. And so it was just easy for family members to buy him presents. One Christmas, he got 2 of the same giant Elmo. And he thought that was the best thing ever. And we realized when we're kids, you're gonna have favorite stuff. As you get older, you're gonna have favorite stuff. For me, Barney was not coming in my house because I had already gone through the Barney era with one of my nieces. And then a colleague at South Campus, he told me, he said, don't let, what is Tinky Winky? Yeah, don't let Teletubbies in your house because they'll never leave. Don't let them come in your house. Oh. Ow. So sometimes it's horrifying. And then now you have that song in your head, you're welcome. But then with some of my nieces and nephews now, one of my nieces went through a Doc McStuffins phase. And then another, well, Jimmy went through a Handy Manny phase. Now, Handy Manny's okay, because you can do, no Handy Manny. You know, English and Spanish, or Diego. No? Okay, see? And then one of my younger nieces, she went through a Paw Patrol phase. And then an Octonauts phase. I'm like, oh, what's Octonauts? I don't know this one. Or Transformers. So when you're an auntie or you're an uncle and you're like, you got Christmas coming up and you got birthdays coming up and you're like, okay, what are they into? I don't know what so-and-so is into now. Or is it gonna be Hello Kitty? I don't know. Am I gonna get the wrong thing? Should it be dinosaurs? Maybe dinosaurs, just cover all your bases. Because I have a nephew who is now almost 17. For him, it was pirates and dinosaurs at the same time. So it was very much time travel. And yeah, so you're going to have favorite things that maybe other people don't understand. And that's okay. That's what makes you, you. And then when you're an adult and you're cooking for yourself at your own kitchen, do you have a favorite burner on the stove? Do you have a favorite knife in the cutting board?
Yes.
See? Do you have a favorite cutting board?
Yes.
Do you have a favorite skillet?
Yes.
Is it cast iron?
Yes.
See? Southern girls, I'm telling you. So, TV series. I've learned over decades that the TV series that I like are fixing to get canceled.
Not Bash.
Well, that one ended. That was a long time ago. It didn't get canceled, but it ended.
They pulling the reruns?
I don't know. Firefly. Anybody know what Firefly is? One season, done. They're like, oh, we're sorry. You needed more. I'm like, I sure as hell needed more. So they made a movie. And you're like, okay, sort of. I'm not completely satisfied. How about Lost? Do you remember Lost? Am I spoiling anything? No. Okay, good. They were dead the whole time. Oops! Spoiler alert! There's all kinds of internet theories, right? The whole 6 years they were dead the whole time. What are you talking about? It's like watching the M. Night Shyamalan movies. They're all dead people. Yeah, with a twist. Exactly. Okay. Some of the shows you probably haven't even heard of because they're on Sci-Fi Channel. And then they end in a cliffhanger and then they're canceled. They don't come back and you're like, now what am I supposed to do? But there was like a bomb at the very end. Okay, older folks, you remember Dallas? Who shot JR? And then it was all a dream. He steps out of the shower and you're like, do you know where the expression jump the shark comes from? Happy Days, where Fonzie on a motorcycle jumped a shark-infested body of water. That's what jump the shark means. And you're like, dang, that's where it came from. You got to find it on YouTube. You got to find the episode. When did Fonzie jump the shark? Okay. Again, I like weird stuff. Kid president. Do you know who Kid President is?
Yes. Yes.
He just turned 18. He's the same age as my son. His real name is Robbie Novak, and he was a YouTuber from about 2012 to 2014, 2015. I love this guy. You can find him on YouTube. He was 8 years old when he and his older brother were filming these YouTube videos. And their big thing was corn dogs. So make the world awesome and eat corn dogs. That was his big thing, Kid President. Best laugh ever. And he is now turned 18 back in January. He's not making any more videos, but people still check out some of his work. So just a very, very positive influence. Did you have to read books in school? You're like, oh, I saw the eyes rolling going, dang, we gotta read this stupid book. If I read Catcher in the Rye one more stupid time, if I read this Shakespeare one more stupid time, I know, some of them are good. You're like, oh, that's sexy. I kind of like that one. What did he just say? Yeah, things when you're in middle school, you're like, that meant what? You start looking up the words. I had no idea that's what they were talking about. Well, you're like, wow. And I went to Catholic school, and you're like, oh, what? We're allowed to read this? This is incredible. Okay. And some of the books that I've enjoyed are books that were meaningful to me. I wanted to be a veterinarian. When I was in grade school, when I was in middle school, I wanted to be a veterinarian, and one of the books that we read was The Red Pony. It's not a very long book. And then, Of Mice and Men, I really liked Steinbeck, and I really liked Jack London, so the American writer. I love Mark Twain. So there's different authors that you follow, and you're like, oh, okay, I really enjoy this. Obviously, Orwell. Y'all might want to brush up on your George Orwell, like right now, today. Like, oh, that's an instruction manual, you crazy bastards. All right. Other books that were completely recommended by friends and family members, and well, you work in a library and you work in a library, so you're like, here, read this book. And you're like, I don't want to read books. In my classes that I teach, not the biotech, although I'm thinking of starting this in biotech, we read a book. In my microbiology classes, I make them read a book. It's a short book, not too many pictures. So we've read The Remedy, we've read The Ghost Map, and then in my class tomorrow, we're looking at a book called Microcosm. So these are all about different bacteria. And inevitably, I hear back from students, it's like, Dr. Fair made us read a book in class, and I liked it. I was surprised. And then sometimes the books that I enjoy have become movies. For example, Hunger Games. I thought they did a good job. Ender's Game was a very good rendering of the book. Narnia. I love all of the Narnia stories, and I thought the books translated really, really well. Of course, most people say, oh yeah, Harry Potter. That was books. Like, that's okay. It was books first, honey. And then they made movies. You're like actual books with words and stuff. And then they made an amusement park around the world. And, people go spend a lot of money. Hitchhiker's Guide. Some of the older folks. What's the answer? 42. So the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Some of these, that was made into a movie. It's not so good. But, some of the movies don't necessarily translate well from the book. And that's okay. Some of the books that I like are not fiction. So they're actual, real nonfiction stories. 1 Year Off, Working in the Shadows, and then A Hunter-Gatherer's Guide. Those are nonfiction, but I do highly recommend them for different reasons. 1 Year Off is a family who basically sold everything, and they traveled around the world. And their young children were experiencing different cultures and different religions and different countries and different cuisines. Not every family has the resources to do such a thing, but it's an interesting travel story. And then Working in the Shadows. Think about jobs that most people don't want to do or won't do, like cutting lettuce in the fields in Arizona. You don't pick lettuce, you cut lettuce. And it's actually a very hazardous job as a migrant worker for picking different crops. Or working in a chicken processing factory, where the chicken at the grocery store, it has to be processed. And that's, again, a very dangerous and hazardous job, and lots of repetitive injuries to the body. And you're just, psychically miserable from the repetition. Hunter-Gatherer's Guide to the 21st Century, it came out in November. And our bodies are not meant for modern times. How much time on your screens do you have in a day, honestly? We're not designed for that type of environment and that type of daily lifestyle? Or do you work a day job? Do you have a night job? Do you work overnights and go to school? So our bodies from ancient times, hunter-gatherer times, our bodies are not built for the 21st century. So how do you change that? Turn off your screens. Go outside. Take off your shoes. Because humans are not supposed to have shoes and socks on all the time. Go out barefooted on the beach. Go out barefooted on the ground. I mean, watch for doo-doo and stuff. But you need to have that contact. You need to have that physical contact. Go listen to the ocean. Go listen to the trees. We lose those things in our modern life. Okay, what's your theme song? Do you have a song of the day? I mean, obviously you now have the Teletubby song in your head. You're welcome. I like bagpipes. And folks look and say, you what? Well, it's my heritage. I'm mostly Scottish, Irish, Cherokee, with a little bit of Swedish, which I think is cool, because I like IKEA. But I like bagpipes. Okay, it has to be outside. If somebody's playing bagpipes indoors, it's just going to blast your head right off. It's way too loud. But if you're outside at like a Scottish Highland Games or some kind of festival where my across the street neighbor is a bagpiper. She plays bagpipes in her front yard when she's practicing, and we're like, yay! I love it. Not everybody does. Some people say, oh my God, it sounds like a cat that's being beaten in a bag. I was like, well, yeah, similar. Pardon me?
Oh my God.
Yeah, not if it's done well. But there are some songs. Okay, if y'all don't know what Amazing Grace sounds like, find it on YouTube, bagpipes. You will cry your eyeballs out. If you don't, you're not human. I have no idea what it is with you. Okay, now imagine 100 or 200 bagpipers playing the same song. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's cultural. Opera. You're like, opera? What? Yeah, what the what? Opera. Okay, there are some that are actually really, really funny. Remember I talked about Shakespeare in middle school? You're like, oh, that is sexy. That's what they were talking about. Okay, find it on YouTube. Obviously, Ave Maria is beautiful when sung by a professional singer. Pavarotti is no longer alive. He was considered to be the king of the high seas. The man could sing. Find Nessun Dorma. It is, if it does not give you goosebumps and you're like, how did he do, he's no longer alive, but how did he do this? If that type of music doesn't absolutely hit you in the chest, your soul is broken. You need to get some outside time. You need some, you need an intervention. Okay, if Dana White calls me, and you know how they play a walkout song for the fighters? Mine will be Thunderstruck by AC/DC. That is my song. I mean, some people would say Back in Black. Some people would say Highway to Hell. No, for me, it's Thunderstruck because it absolutely has some of the coolest guitar, in my opinion. Okay, Rag and Bone Man. I only recently discovered him basically over the pandemic when I was on YouTube all the time. But hey, that's a benefit. Rag and Bone Man. It's a white guy. If you listen to his voice, it's very soulful. And you're like, it's a fat white guy. No way. But his voice is just so amazing. And where did he learn to sing? In church. And you're like, didn't see that coming. But Rag and Bone Man, I highly recommend it. Very, very soulful. Okay, The Who. This one I only recently discovered, because when you're on YouTube or other video channels, the algorithms say, well, if you like this, you're going to like this. And you're like, okay. Or if you go shopping for something, those ads are going to show up on your social media. It's like, okay, I didn't mean for everybody to know that I'm looking for bookshelves.
Right.
Or a record player, because it's going to show up on your Facebook. Okay, The Wolf Totem by The Who. This is Mongolian heavy metal. Oh yeah. All the way up. Roll down the windows, sunroof, crank it. People are going to look at you like you're in. Have you seen the video?
Yeah.
Oh my. It's like, I like these guys. Because it's the Mongolian hordes on horseback. Now they're on motorcycles. Oh yeah. It's like, yeah.
Hard transition.
Oh yeah. It's like, I did not see that coming, and I didn't think I would like it as much as I do. Mongolian heavy metal. Who knew? Rave. Dubstep. Scary Christmas. Has a lot of wobbles, and when the bass drops, you're going to want to play it again. And then people look at me and say, you like that stuff? I'm like, oh yeah, that's a workout tune for sure. And then at our karate school, we did weapons. We did blacklight weapons. And some of these songs are perfect, not really fighting songs, but they're perfect martial arts songs. So just try it, trust me. A lot of teacher-student relationships are built on trust. And I know some of you don't know me, some of you do, but I'm asking you to just trust it, try it, see what you think. See what you think, you might like it. Spice Girls. I love you, I really do. So you know the song, apparently, but now, like when you're in Target or Publix and they're playing the oldies on the radio, it's instrumental.
Yes, Route 21.
Yeah, and then we older folks are pushing our shopping carts, and we know the words.
It was painful for y'all.
Like, yeah, it's like, hey, yeah, that was our era with the big hair and the Reebok high tops with the Velcro straps. See? Hey, some of these things are coming back now, so we had it first.
No, when that came out on pay-per-view, that was the first and only time my mom let me spend $50 on pay-per-view for that.
Okay. Well, I still have it on cassette. The whole soundtrack. Leonard Skynyrd. You heard of Leonard Skynyrd?
Yes.
They're from Jacksonville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. I was like, but you got to do the opening line. Okay, I don't play any musical instruments, but when you hear the opening guitar, you're like, yeah, there it is. And I have family in Alabama, so I was like, oh yes, run, Forrest, run. Well, Leonard Skynyrd, I actually have a connection to Leonard Skynyrd.
Family?
No, no. Well, we're all cousins, so yes, but no, technically. When I was probably about 8 or 9 years old, I was a brownie Girl Scout. And I sold cookies. You know, Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints, Samoas, Do-si-dos, Tagalongs, all of them. Yeah, it's like, dang. I mean, my mouth is watering like rats. Really embarrassing on video. But we had Girl Scout cookie booths, okay? And this was on the west side on San Juan and Blanding. There was a bank. And we had a cookie booth set up there. And there were 2 men. I didn't know it at the time, but they had sleeves. And they had protective bandages. I sold cookies to 2 of the surviving band members of Leonard Skynyrd. And I didn't know it until after, because my mom was like, do you know who they were? I'm like, no ma'am. She's like, well, they were just in a plane crash. That was Leonard Skynyrd, 2 of the band members. I'm like, wow, that's totally cool. So anyway. Skillet. If you know who Skillet is, it's a band. It's actually a Christian hard rock band. I know. So you're like, wait a minute. Christian hard rock, Mongolian heavy metal, those things don't go together. Well, yeah, they do actually. So I like Skillet. Obviously, you know, my music, I go everywhere. And it's okay. It's like, okay, what do I want to listen to today? Skip. Yeah, that one. You make your playlists. And then you go back and you look at your playlist and you're like, what was I on? Was that a bad day? Was I like, did I have a headache or something? What did I eat? Oh, what did I eat? Was it bad leftovers or something? Or you're playing it in your office, or you're playing it with your lab mates, They're like, what are you listening to? What is that stuff? That's how I learned in graduate school. Our postdoc was from Canada. So that's how I learned about a band called Crash Test Dummies. So older folks are like, yeah, yeah, so that's the guy. It's like, they're Canadian. Go to concerts. If you can. Not everybody likes to. Especially the stadium concerts. It's an experience. Or even like I still call it the Coliseum. Now it's the arena. I still call it the Gator Bowl. I still call it the Coliseum. These are all the names of the sporting locations that, because that's where I grew up. It's still the Gator Bowl to me. Eric Clapton, live. Amazing. There was a camera just for his hands, to watch his hands on the guitar. He's like the premier guitar player. Rolling Stones, they were here at the stadium a few years ago. Mick is looking really old, like bad. And the drummer just passed away. Charlie just passed away. I mean, they're close to 80.
Oh, okay.
You're like, well, you've had a good long life.
60 years.
Yeah, Keith Richards is never going to die, ever. And Mick, I don't know about Mick, yes, whatever. High school, college, Police, Genesis, Men at Work. I'm like, who are these people? Who are these crazy people? But these are now the instrumental songs that they play on the oldie stations at the grocery store. And you're like, oh, I know the words to everything. And then if they play the CD or the cassette out of order, you're like, nope, that's not the right song. That's not the song that comes next. I can't do shuffle. It has to be in the right order. Derek Trucks and Susan Tedeschi, they are husband and wife. Very good live show if you have an opportunity. Hugh Laurie, do you know who that is? He's an actor who played Dr. House, MD. He's also a very accomplished musician. He really can sing and play piano. It's like, wait a minute, that's Dr. House on stage. But he's very good. It was surprising how good it was. Bonnie Raitt. I love Bonnie Raitt. Okay, Lauren Daigle, Toby Mac. So there's a lot of diversity. There's going to be a lot of, my playlists are kind of crazy. But okay, is this a driving one or an exercise one or a chill out one? Yeah, you have all your different playlists. Whoops, too fast. Some days, we just need a snack.
Yes.
Some days, we just need a snack and a hug. Some days, we need a snack, a hug, and then a nap.
Yes.
And most people don't realize you have to look for it, but naps and snacks are in the Bible, in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. So for those of us who are following Christian traditions, naps and snacks really are mentioned. Jim Cantor. I remember when MTV started and it actually showed music videos. I remember when the Weather Channel started and a young weatherman called Jim Cantor. He's now like the senior guy because he's been there a long time. If Jim Cantor shows up in Jacksonville or Jacksonville Beach, leave. Because what that means is that there's going to be a storm. He only visits places where there's storms. Or he sends out some of the younger guys and girls. You're going to have accidents and you're going to make mess. There's going to be lots and lots and lots of messes. So when I lived in Tallahassee, there's lots of hills and lots of bike trails. And I crashed a lot. It was fun, but I crashed a lot. And as a graduate student teaching classes, I would sometimes show up with a black eye because I put my face into a tree. Everything's fine. My helmet. And occasionally when it was rainy and muddy and I would crash in the mud. And then my friend, she said, you know that we're friends. I'm not letting you in my car. But this was right outside my apartment, so it was no big deal. Before Jimmy was born, and those of you who are parents, you know that you read a lot of how to parent books, you know, what to expect. And I remember how to teach manners. How do we learn manners? You know, mind your manners. A lot of us, you know, growing up, that's how you're taught. And it's yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, please and thank you. Well, I read that if you're a new parent and you have small children, they hear please and thank you. It doesn't matter what you're thanking. It can be, oh, please, printer work this time. Oh, please, water heater, don't break now. Oh, please, JEA power outage, please, thank you. So it doesn't matter if you're saying please and thank you to non-living things. You can still mind your manners, and it does, even if it sounds crazy, because my colleagues know that I talk to stuff. I talk to the fish, I talk to the plants, I talk to the instruments in the lab, I talk to the printer, I talk to the computer. Oh, please, computer, please. Just, or your car. Do you talk to your car? Oh, please, just one more start. Come on, baby. I promise I'll get you to the shop soon. I know you need tires. I'm so sorry. Don't bong, no bong, bong, no bong. Or you hear bad noises when you're driving, and I'm like, is that the next guy? I hope it's the next guy. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be very unchristian right now, and I'm hoping it's somebody else's car making those nasty noises, not me. I'm a gardener. I'm a lifelong gardener, and I have chickens. I like chickens. They're adorable. We used to name them, but then it got too much to keep track. We only have 4. Yeah, chicken. Come on, girls. They're like dinosaurs. They run like dinosaurs. And you can collect eggs from them. But always remember, where do eggs come from? From a chicken's butt. So be aware that chickens are the pet that poops breakfast or dinner, depending on how you're going to use your egg products. As a teacher, I don't like grading papers. I also don't like meetings. They're not the funnest. Other things are more fun, like being in lab. I like teaching lab sciences. And I like, sharing stories and encouraging, mentoring. It's like, okay, maybe medical school's not a good option. Maybe dentistry school is not a good option for you. Have you thought about graduate school? Because you're really good at this. You're really good at computer science. You're really good at shooting video. You're really good at editing this. You're a really good writer in science. So why not be a science writer? There's a need for those kind of things. The job that you do might not exist yet. You might have to put together, what's your side hustle? You might have to put together things that you enjoy, and you're like, oh, you mean people will pay for this? How cool is that? So you might have skills. There's always going to be people in your life who mentor you, and sometimes you can't repay them. So I love Pay It Forward. I absolutely love Pay It Forward, because there are going to be colleagues. I've been at the college long enough that there are faculty colleagues and administrator colleagues and even students who have passed away since I've been at the college. And some of them, you look at pictures and you look at old videos or old presentations and you're like, man, I really miss so-and-so, or I really miss Dr. Mike, or I really miss this person. What did I learn from them? Because either I'm going to lose you or you're going to lose me. But what are we doing in the meantime, kind of thing. Okay, Dr. Mike. I don't know if anybody remembers Dr. Mike. He taught at the college. He was an administrator at the college. He taught me in 7th and 8th grade math and science. And I got my PhD before he got his PhD. And I remember being at South Campus. He taught astronomy before he became a dean. And I remember hearing this voice. And I'm thinking, no way. Because it had been more than 15, 20 years that I had seen him since middle school. He sounded the same. And remember when you're a kid, elementary school, middle school, and then you see your teacher not at school? And you're like, Mrs. Smith, you mean you don't sleep at the school? They're at the grocery store, or they're at like an amusement park or something. You're like, that's my teacher. That's my teacher. I know them. I know them from school. But it was wonderful. Because he turns around and I said, Mr. Reynolds, because I can't use first names. When you're an adult and then you become colleagues, you're like, okay, so please call me Susan or please call me Mike. I'm like, I can't. I was like, Mr. Reynolds. He's like, no, it's Mike. I'm like, no, it isn't. So we settled on Dr. Mike. It was totally cool. Okay, these two young ladies, she has finished high school and then she's finished college. And they were my classmates. They were my classmates at the karate school. So mentoring, you never know when it's going to show up. You never know when your mentors, when you're going to be a mentor or when you have mentors. And your mentors can be younger than you. They don't have to be older than you. Do you eat well? Do you eat healthy food? Do you know what that is? Rambutan. They're delicious.
Absolutely.
They look really weird. They're so good, and they're good for you. But you see them at the farmer's market, or you see them at the market, the grocery store, and you're like, I don't know. I don't even know what to do with this. And then you describe it to somebody, and you're like, it's like eating an eyeball that tastes like a grape.
Yep.
See? So I know it's a weird analogy. Okay. We're just coming to the end of a pandemic. And food is something important to think about because we all got to eat. And you can grow your own food, or do you make choices of what is it that you're going to cook for dinner and what is it that you're going to pack in your lunch and what snacks are you going to have? So some people have trust issues when it looks like chocolate chip cookie and it's actually oatmeal raisin. Yeah, I know, and you reach this level of disappointment. You're like, I didn't want raisins right now. I was kind of hoping for chocolate chips. But these things happen. Hopefully they're labeled appropriately. If you are a parent, or you will be a parent, or maybe you're an auntie or an uncle, honestly, don't blink. You look at how fast things go. And I've been at the college long enough that I've had students and grand students. Like, oh, can you kind of warn me ahead of time? Oh, my mom says hi. My dad says hi. Who's your mom? Who's your dad? Oh, they took your class back in the late 90s. I'm like, oh my God. That was a while ago. So just give me a warning. When your kids are ready for college, and I'm still here at FSCJ, I'm not retiring. I'm never going to retire. I'm going to just stay as long as I can, all these good things. So yeah, my son graduates in May. And then he starts college in June. This is one of my favorite pictures. They didn't know I was there. That's his teacher, his piano teacher at Douglas Anderson. And she has this reputation of being really scary. But she's not. Once you get to know her, I mean, yeah, she speaks with an accent. She's Russian. She's been playing piano since she was like 3 years old. But it was just the most adorable picture. And she's tiny, so my son is like way over her head. But at the piano, it was literally a duet and a lesson. They were playing the same thing. I'm not musical. I have no idea what it was. But it was literally a duet and a lesson, and they were playing together, and she's commenting, yes, faster, no. This. And it was just really, really adorable because that is exemplary of their relationship. Yes, they disagree sometimes, and yes, she has to have that teacher boundary. But I just thought it was a really adorable picture, especially since they didn't know I was there to take the picture at that time. So yeah, he plays piano. I have no idea where that skill comes from. It is not me. Okay. Sometimes your favorite team is going to suck. Sometimes your favorite team is going to suck bad.
Go Jags.
For years. Anybody a Chicago Cubs fan? Boston Red Sox fan. We went how many years? From 1918 to 2004 is a long, long, long time. And then they did it again in 2007. So we're good. We're good for a little while. FSU, I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what to do. Some of it's tragic. It is what it is. You're going to have family on both sides of rivalries. Auburn, Alabama. Notre Dame, Miami. Florida, Florida State. You're going to have rivalries. It's okay. Did you have a bad year recently?
No, we still beat Florida State, so it wasn't bad.
Oh, no, I wasn't talking football anymore, but okay, cool. We'll talk football. I don't even know. But no, that's part of our culture. Like, okay, go Jaguars. Where are they going?
There's only one place.
Right, exactly. It's like, well, we've hit bottom, so now it's up. Okay, good. No, it's part of our culture. But you got to root for your teams, right? Who were the paper bag fans? Who were the paper bag football fans? Was that Cleveland or Cincinnati? Oh, well, New Orleans. Okay. But you got to root for your teams. They'll come back eventually, maybe, or they'll move. They'll move to a whole nother city and they'll start all over in a brand new stadium. I don't even know where the Raiders are now. Because first it was Oakland, then it was Los Angeles, and now they're the Las Vegas Raiders? Okay, that's poetry. You're going to see signs, and you're going to see safety warnings that really, you're like, where did this come from? And why did they have to write this? So this is real. In Hawaii, there's a park called Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. And you hike around the volcano, and there really is a sign that says, please do not throw objects into the volcano. Like, well, I wonder what happened. It led to such a thing. Who was the first person who said, do not eat that little insert in your shoes? You know, the little packet thing? You get your new sneakers, and there's that little packet that says, do not eat. I think I will. What? No. Who was the first person? Why is this rule in place? So, yeah, well, who put that on there? Or do not use your toaster in the bathtub. Have you seen this? If you buy a new toaster, it will literally say, do not immerse in a bathtub. Right? Huh.
Well, I mean, back in the day.
Yeah, thanks for the idea, but no, I'm good. Trust yourself. Trust yourself. But also, you have mentors that you can ask. I can say, hey, Mary, am I reading this incorrectly? Cindy, am I wrong in interpreting this way? Mike, could you take a look at this for me? Doreen, could you look at this, whatever, quiz? Could you go over this quiz for me? Your colleagues, your peers, to make sure, am I talking crazy? Am I totally off base here? Trust your intuition, because your intuition, you're going to have little signals. You're like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go to Walmart after midnight. Maybe I'll just wait. But she's pointing fingers, okay. Okay. You might have pets. You might have companion animals. And they don't stay with you for very long. But when they do, those of us who do have pets, you're like, oh yeah, they're an important part of your life. It's traditional that at the end of a PowerPoint or a presentation, you're supposed to have a sunset. So this is a sunset from the top of a volcano called Mauna Kea. And it's supposedly extinct, but what do you love? Thank you.